Those who don't learn from history will repeat the mistakes of history. Though I've fired Donald Trump, and he's now working with Lori's Jew clones to work around this. I've instructed Tulsi Gabbard as my appointed president to stop paying for abortions in Planned Parenthood unless it's to save the mother's life. Though we won't make it illegal for a mother to go to a private place for an abortion because then mothers would go to dangerous places to get an abortion. This way, Tulsi can honestly say she supports Planned Parenthood and thus not alienate her progressive base and yet still get evangelical support. Let me give you a rundown on some important history that you're not hearing in mainstream news. I've created a page where you can watch some videos in the order in which they're presented, and you'll get a much needed history lesson. I've made this page to appeal to evangelicals to get behind Tulsi Gabbard and abandon Donald Trump. Donald Trump claims to be a Jesus follower, but by allowing deep state or Lori McBride stooges like John Bolton, Mike Pompeo, and others into his cabinet as advisors, he is another Lori McBride cuck. Lori McBride currently has Antichrist powers, and Jesus says the Antichrist cannot be killed. So if you want to oppose the Antichrist, I recommend you vote for Tulsi Gabbard. Lori's Antichrist powers make it that despite her massive war crimes, we are unable to execute her, though we can take out her following. Jesus has stated many times that the Antichrist cannot be killed because the Antichrist must fulfill biblical prophecy. The Antichrist will be defeated by Jesus himself at the final battle. I know the Bible says the Antichrist will be a man, but remember, it's a simple matter for Satan to transform Lori or whoever will be the Antichrist into a transgender man. In fact, this may be the reason why the world's in such a frenzy about transgenders and their rights. You might say, but we aren't in the tribulation yet. How can the Antichrist already be on the scene? Well, nowhere in the Bible does it state the Antichrist cannot be alive or make an appearance only during the tribulation, folks. In fact, the Bible states there are many Antichrists in the world. Yes, the Antichrist has already appeared, first as Zach Knight, then as Angelina Ballerina, and lastly as Lori McBride. What his final form will be in the future tribulation, who knows? So I've got a video where I show you how the Antichrist appeared as Zach Knight. So you watch that one first. And in that video, that's when Satan resurrected Zach Knight from hell as the Antichrist. Jesus himself had to show up to rescue us when Antichrist Zach Knight took over our church service. The next video I show that I want you to watch, and I have a page and I have them in the order I want you to watch them. As a result of following the Gail commandments in 2016, I developed a Gail shield, which protected my life from attacks by the Jesuit order's space fleet. Unfortunately, the Jesuits have found ways to make me sick with their bombs, even though their bombs are unable to kill me. The Gail shield is apparently porous, and Jesuits can drop bombs over my head filled with Candida auris to make me sick. If not for my shield or shield technology, these bombs would probably kill those below. Jesuit Zach Knight made a mistake in trying to outdo my shield. He accidentally caused the destruction of his entire space fleet, and things changed dramatically in the Jesuit order after this. Zach Knight, in trying to save Rule 13's life, got sucked into a semen bubble inside Satan's ocean in deep space, and you need to read Job 41:31 to learn about that ocean. While he was trapped, Angelina Ballerina betrayed him in Rule 13. Angelina Ballerina betrayed him in Rule 13 and took over the Jesuits as their new Antichrist. She turned out to be far worse than Zach Knight and evil. Now, in the next video, I show that using my genius emotional IQ, I was able to lead the Antichrist Zach Knight to Jesus. I told him that I use brain-to-brain communications to do it. I told him that Jesus is not a cock blocker because Satan lied to Zach and told Zach that Jesus was, and that I admired him for trying to save Rule 13. Even though Zach was the Antichrist, he loved Rule 13, and I used that love to win him to Jesus because Satan forbids true love in the Jesuit order. Zach was feeling trapped because he loved Rule 13, and I showed him the way out in Jesus. The next video I want you to watch, Angelina became the Antichrist, and she had tremendous powers of seduction. If she got near a man, she could cause the man to become uncontrollably aroused so that he'd drop everything to make love to her like a rabid dog. She captured most of the men on my marriage list for this reason, except for Brent Spiner, Vladimir Putin, and Zach Knight at this Trump rally. Vladimir was furious and nuked the rally when she took over the rally, but Angelina managed to save them all at the last minute. And Trump, he got captured too. And my captured men were prisoners on her pink spaceship from November 4th, 2016 to January 6, 2017, when we defeated Angelina. Okay, the next video, I make my presidential acceptance speech. During the November 8th, 2016 elections, I told everybody that if they voted for Trump, they were voting for me as president. Okay, now the next video that I want you to watch, we had to find a way to defeat the powerful Angelina. So in secret, I told my men to create a Sarakaki, which would encase Angelina and throw her deep into Satan's ocean in deep space. Read Job 41:31. So that she could not escape. Because we couldn't kill her, so we wanted to encase her. Unfortunately, because she captured all those people at the Trump rally, and we thought they were all dead, she tricked us. She knew about our Sarakaki and managed to steal it for herself. She did it right after Christmas. It had the power to destroy the universe 3 times over. She transformed it into a bomb instead of just being a way to encapsulate her as we intended, and she launched it towards Earth. If it hit Earth, it had the power to destroy the universe 3 times over. This is how evil this woman was, and Laurie McBride was on her side at this time. In the next video, I show that miracles happened, and Zach and I alone, with the help of Prisoner Rule 13 on Angelina's spaceship, against Angelina's entire space fleet, defeated Angelina. She died and went to hell. We thought our problems were over, but next video. Unfortunately, several months later, Laurie McBride took over a band of rogue Jesuits who rebelled against their former leader, Zach Knight, and the evil in the Jesuits continued under the leadership of the new Antichrist, Laurie McBride. We figured out Laurie had Antichrist powers in 2017 when we tried to execute her. Her head would roll off her body, then flip right back onto it, with Laurie laughing the whole time. You see, the Antichrist cannot be killed. Though we temporarily defeated Laurie's attempt to take over Israel, many Jew clones escaped, and they have assisted Laurie to develop new bombs filled with Candida auris that she drops worldwide, killing and sickening people. The Jew clones have taken over mainstream news, both the Democrat and establishment Republican parties. Donald Trump's military advisors, Bolton, Pompeo, etc., and the social media giants, causing massive censorship. Currently, the only candidate for president who is against Laurie McBride is Tulsi Gabbard. Trump has capitulated to Laurie McBride's deep state, but is brilliant at marketing and knows how to present himself as one who's draining the swamp. But Trump's record speaks for itself. He has not drained the swamp. He's part of the swamp. These Jew clones have won in Israel, and Laurie McBride is currently the shadow leader of Israel, and Trump does whatever they want. So, folks, you have a choice between voting for the swamp or somebody who I think will really drain the swamp, and that's Tulsi Gabbard. The one who's going to drain the swamp is Tulsi Gabbard, not Donald Trump. Okay? So, you might, like I said, you may say, what about Tulsi's immigration policies? I'm not sure how I feel. I've listened to her talk about immigration. The last time she talked about it, she said we have a crisis at the border. That's pretty bold for a Democrat to say. So I think she was hinting to us that she realized we have a problem at the border. Okay? Let me just put it this way. Even though I support Trump's wall, and I think it's a good idea, you got to understand that with 21st century technology, all Laurie has to do is use Star Trek-like transporter technology to get anybody into the United States. So basically, Trump's wall, all it does is just send a strong message that we're not going to accept illegals into our country, which is a good thing to do. But it doesn't really keep them out. So the best way to keep the illegals out is to vote for Tulsi Gabbard because she supports me as Empress. Now, if my conspiracy law is enforced, the way we keep the illegals out of the country is by using a 21st century scanning technology where we scan the population to see who is a Lori McBride Jesuit or supporter. I deport Lori McBride Jesuits out of the United States. She's the greatest environmental threat, the greatest military threat, the biggest terrorist in the universe. It's the way we solve terrorism, and she's behind all these crimes committed against all these, Lori McBride is orchestrating terrorist events to try to take away your guns. Now, I'm not really sure how I feel about gun control. Did you know the United States has more guns practically than any other country in the world? And I don't think we should take the guns away, but I don't think it's as big a deal as most Christians think it is, okay? With our 21st century technology, I can give our citizens citizen scanners, which would be much more effective than guns. And they would also help you not make mistakes in executing somebody innocent. So things are really complicated now with 21st century technology. So you say Tulsi does not believe in taking away guns, by the way. She wants to honor the Second Amendment, okay? But I think I heard her say she wanted to take away assault rifles. That may not be a bad idea. Like I said, I'm not sure how I feel about guns because we have 21st century technology. There was a time when I first became Empress and Rick Scott was governor of Florida, that in North Florida, gun owners were opposing me, saying, we will not honor Gail as Empress, and we're going to use our guns to shoot anybody who gets in our way. So I don't know how I feel about guns. I mean, it depends. I mean, I'm not against it, but I don't believe in taking away your gun rights. I think it's probably a good form of a way to protect our population against tyranny. But Tulsi's not going to take your guns, okay? She believes in the Second Amendment. I've heard her. She just believes in taking assault rifles away, which may not be a bad idea. What I can do is arm you with citizen scanners, which will help protect you against the Lori McBride Jesuits. Though Lori thinks that if she takes the guns away from the American citizens, that it will make her takeover of the United States easier, and that's why she was behind the Las Vegas attacks. She actually uses her Jew clones to orchestrate terrorist incidents, which she then uses to try to use as an excuse to take away guns. And like what happened in Broward County, the Trump supporters can't stand that one guy. I can't remember his name. What's his name? Anyways, Bernie Sanders supporters, okay, that like Tulsi. You say, you shouldn't bring Jesus into this. Tulsi doesn't stand a chance in hell of winning the Democratic nomination or becoming president unless she reaches across the aisle and gets some evangelicals, conservatives, and centrists to support her. And I'm trying to help her reach across the aisle. And if you had any brains, and if you're truly her supporter, you would support what I'm doing. Okay, we need to work together. Okay, we need to overlook minor differences. We need to work together, band together, and save our country from a Lori McBride takeover. And I think Tulsi Gabbard is the one. She will respect your rights as Christians. She believes in freedom of speech. She thinks we should break up the tech giants, which is something that Trump has not done. So I recommend, if you're a Jesus lover, vote for Tulsi Gabbard.